представити вам нашого архітектора, гарного друга та доцента інституту університету Тбілісі імені Іллі Георгія Зауташвілі. Сьогодні він підготував для нас свою лекцію і зараз нам про неї розповість. Пожалуйста, вам слово. Будь ласка, вам слово.
Yes, well, for first of all, thank you for inviting me because it's a great pleasure for me to do something for you. We had a great collaboration last years, and I'm really happy that we have not stopped on that. And I will make a short description of the lecture I made. It's the name of the lecture is Process of Transformation. And the main word here is the process because it's the main thing. It's the thing we're concentrating all the time. To tell you short, I'm teaching at Ilya State University architecture, and even there, I'm giving always 2 scores to my students. 1 score is for final product of the project, and second score is for the process. How the project has evolved, and it's pretty possible and happens often that the better outcomes, better final products have less score than the project which evolved better but are still not as good as the second one. So that's why the process. And another thing for me, it's always interesting when we're talking about our different architects, the main thing, how did they get there and how did they start doing architecture? What was the driving force for them to start with this profession? Because I think not many of us are informed about architecture and before they start, we all of us have like different expectations from it. And my first slide will be this. Oh, sorry, yeah, this. Maybe a little bit unexpected, but I was preparing my whole life to become an engineer for aircraft building. I was already ready. I already found a university in Germany where I wanted to study. But the thing was that in schools in Germany, they study 2 years longer than in Georgia, and I had to spend 2 years somewhere. And but because of the love of this aircraft and engineering, I studied drawing. I studied how to draw different angles of the objects and think like in space. My parents did help me in that because they're both architects. And when I was deciding where to spend this last year, that's one of my closest friends who had similar story. He wanted to be a jazzman. Now he's playing classical music. He had to study as architect as well because his parents didn't wanted him to become just a musician. And when I saw him, visited him in university, seeing how the studio works, and what are the relations between the students and professors there, I really loved it, and I decided to go in architecture. So I can say that jazz music and military aircraft, that was the first steps how I get there. And why I'm showing this, because both of them had really a major influence on architecture I did. So don't be afraid of my first on my next page, because that's my first projects from second year. And what was that? I mean, I'm not going to describe and talk a lot about it, but when I made an analysis of this project later, I understood that my love for this aircraft was translated directly in the architecture as form. So I was not aware on concept or didn't thought much about the functionality. I was thinking mostly on the form, and that was and another thing was that we had no internet back there, or very limited. We had only the books we were exchanging between us, and one of the and I had like two books which influenced me. One of them was Richard Rogers, and second was Daniel Libeskind. And then I decided that the form is the main thing in architecture. So that were my first years. But then I get to the Germany, where I had much more information, great libraries, and the university where I was studying, that was University of Arts Berlin. It was like mainly concept-oriented university, and and I'm showing this project because I really love it. I can't say that it's interesting maybe from architecture's perspective, but I love it because we discovered Kisho Kurakawa and his metabolism in this project without knowing about him. It's a shame for us, but we didn't know about him. That was a competition we made with my friend Sebastian Rosetzel. And it was basically the concept to build a city over a city. The brief was that in Hamburg, Wilhelmsburg, there's a old part of the city, mostly unused because it was before used like as under industrial function. So we decided to build it over it, and using the triangle forms. And this project influenced our later works as well, because it was the first time we thought really hard about the public spaces. We wanted all this building to evolve like clusters, and they should be like and interconnected on the level above, and the buildings they had to be like without empty as public spaces. And the apartments were meant as capsules that should be like put in later. So that should be a a new city which will evolve under time. And year after we discovered the Kisho Kurokawa, and we were and our excitement that we discovered something new and something which never existed before was shattered. But still, this project had a really big influence on our projects later. And the third project, it comes from our university as well. We discovered on this project another thing, and this thing was that architecture should serve not only the customer, but architecture should serve the public. It's a competition project as well. It's a railway museum in Berlin. I made with my ex-partner, and the main goal here we used several things. It was first off to we still used the form as main drive in the formation of architecture, and we made the form which represents this rail structure, because it's an intersection when you have like a metro, city train, intercity train, regional train, cargo trains, everything passes by. And the concept was to build a building which serves the public area in front of it, because this area was in pretty bad shape, and we wanted to build some kind of tribune, if it's right. So some kind of structure which can accommodate people who can sit there and give like more opportunities, like for concerts or any other activities. And there was another thing that was that we wanted the public who are not visiting the museum still be the part of the museum. That's why you can see on the visualization in the sorry, did you see the mouse when I'm moving it, or it's Okay,
Yes, you
great.
can see.
Here it's like the metro station, which happens inside the museum. So we made like this metro station, this part of the museum, some dynamic part, and the people who are using the metro, they land into the museum. I mean, they have to go and enter there, but they still have the possibility to witness part of it. And then they, on the axonometer, if you see here, go down and go through on the bridge through the museum. So they have possibility to see parts of it without visiting it. So that was first time we used architecture as something which serves not only the customer, but the public in general. And that was that will be the final project of our period when we are studying. It's our diploma project, and I think here we used here everything we learned before. It was pretty exciting work with the historical heritage building we wanted to revive, and we created this main form, and the concept was to build again the building which connects this historical buildings, but and create some public space on the roof. And this public space shouldn't it's not just public space when you go in, but it's a bridge which connects these two parts of the city. If you see on the plan, I mean, if you want to get from here to this part, and here there was a largest pool, open air pool in Tbilisi. Like you have to make this road, and it's this way, and it's too long, so we created like something like shortcut, and that was I think best thing we did here. Uh, to have this place like alive, to bring as much people as possible here who transits here, who can stop here, and while they're moving here they can witness everything what happens here. Like the left side was meant for art studios, the right side more for offices and gallery, and in this bridge, in this main building, we had lecture, cafeteria, no, two cafes like Mediatek and lecture rooms. So this building had to build some kind of public intervention, public intervention into the structure. And we then repeated this form in vertically, and where we wanted to bring the hotel, which overwatches all this territory. And what I forget to mention was that somewhere when I was studying in Germany, I still had my interest and love. I still have it for this aircraft, and I visited some aircraft exhibitions, and that's where the first time when I understood why I like them so much, and why the first projects I show to you totally wrong in approach was totally wrong. And it was because I understood that this aircraft is pure functionality. I mean, there's nothing to make it like look good, or there's nothing made of also to make it like the design better. It's everything, every small, even smallest part serves its function, and it's the beauty of functionality. And that and this three and that was the three things we used afterwards. So I will come here on the next stage, and to sum up the how we built our philosophy. And I was talking about jazz music on the beginning, and I was during the study I was analyzing, and one thing was this aircraft theme I talked to, and second one was jazz. And if you're listening to jazz, I mean, and it's all my opinions. I mean, if you think I'm wrong, I would be glad to listen to your commentaries afterwards. But the jazz music consists of like two parts. It's the main theme, main music, and there are then comes the improvisations. And the first picture I showed you with the jazz, there was K Jarrett Trio. It's my favorite jazz band. and they use like piano, drums, and bass. And I made the diagram to represent it, like to show it how we see it and how we try to build our approach to architecture. That you have the main theme, which is calm. It goes in some between some these lines, but then you have like improvisation of piano when the piano takes a lead. And what's good in improvisation that it builds tension. It becomes like let's if how to say it, arrhythmic. Tension should rise and fall like a wave, and you build a tension by playing jarring notes and intervals that clash with the chords. So and then you have to come back and calm the music, and then after and you go back to your main theme, and then afterwards you get the improvisation begins again with other instruments leading, and then again. So this picture here, we always try to use it for our project, for each of our project, but we are trying to use it for our philosophy as well. I mean, if in retrospective of our projects, you will see that we have projects which are here, which are like pretty calm, calm, and we projects where let's say the concept is the main thing, or then the projects we uh, where this public service, so that architecture should serve the public. This comes as main drive force, and then somewhere the geometry, the geometry and aesthetics. So we always try to be as not to we always try to make the project which are not similar to each other. We always try to have projects which evolve, and each of them tells different story. But if you look at all of them together, you can see like one picture of this evolving. So sorry. And that's one of our first realized projects in Georgia. Most of the projects I will show to you are not realized or are right now in the process of creation. But that was one of our first projects, and why I really do love this project, because I had to be I even had to be part of the building team. But in this case, our main force was the concept. Main creation force. It's a temporary stage on the Black Sea shore. It was like for 2015, when after things what happened in Crimea, the Kazantip Festival was organized in Georgia, and we created this stage. And first, our first question to the customer when they want to ask us for a stage was that, what kind of music are you going to play there? And it was like, they gave the lineup to us, and we saw that it's mostly like pretty hard techno music. And that was when we decided right away that if we are playing techno music, this building uh, has to look some kind of industrial, because industrial spaces are where this music has evolved. But the main concept was our main concept was pretty similar to the rock band Led Zeppelin name. I mean, the name of the Led Zeppelin consists of the two words lead, which is pretty heavy, and Zeppelin, which can float. I mean, a mix of heavy and light. So we made this cage and this cage had solely purpose to bring on these lamps here, and there were like 1,800 lamps, and they should be connected on the computer, and it should become like only lighting for the stage, and it should be stay dynamic all the time. But we made our first it was our first fuck up here, that we didn't check what kind of lamps our customer has bought, and they bought like lamps which were not possible to bring on computer. But anyways, and all this grid structure, which looks like industrial and is pretty heavy, it goes not to the ground. I mean, it hangs on the framework. I mean, so the idea to create something heavy but floating, same as the music that had to play there, was represented in this form. Our next project is the Mine Museum. It's on hold right now because of stupid misunderstanding. There's a town of Chiatura in Georgia, and there's mostly the mine industry. It has a beautiful landscape, and everything started that the customer wanted to build some small visitor center there and the zip line, and they gave us the visitor center and told us that they will make the zip line by themselves. And when we first time visited here, that's a picture from inside this mine. We went like, it was like more than 1 kilometer in the depth, and it was like the dark, and it had like great atmosphere. And we talked there and decided to make a museum inside of these old mines. But then what happened is that they discovered that the zip line starting and receiving point are on the same height, and right now they have no idea how to solve it.
Я
But
прошу прощения, вибачте, извините, у нас минута осталась до свободного, оказывается, пользования Zoom. Я не знала об этом, и, к сожалению, проблему можно решить следующим образом. Нужно, получается, зайти снова по этой ссылке, у нас будет еще 40 минут времени. Если этого времени не будет достаточно, мы еще раз зайдем, хорошо? Прошу прощения за эти неудобства, я, к сожалению, не знала.
Okay.
Вы можете говорить, я думаю, по-русски сейчас. Таких проблем.
I wanted to go to the next slide, and this slide is how we developed the concept and how we approach this mine. When we are inside, we saw this fungus here. That's a picture from this place, which was really reflective on the light.
Прошу прощения, excuse me. It's a problem of...
The same problem all the time, so it's...
Yeah, sorry, it's...
And I will...
Zoom is for pain. It was for pain.
Okay.
And I will need an approval from you to share the screen again.
Понятно.
It's forbidden now. Okay, I will. Okay. All participants.
Ага, ничего себе.
Fixed it already. Okay. Can you? Yeah, you can share sync.
Oh, here.
Maybe we will a little bit, just 1 minute to wait for our participant. Yes. For the students. Just. Okay, I think you can continue if you're ready.
The screen is shared, yes? I mean,
Yes, we can see your screen, everything is okay, picture is...
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So while walking in these tunnels, I mean, there was two things. I mean, the atmosphere of the total darkness, and there was like red pipe pumping fresh air inside. And this each time the light fell on this pipe, like it was something, something what gave us hope that we are that there's something we can follow, because there are many. As you see, that's an actual plan. We draw it over it because there are many ways, so you can so not to lose yourself. So we decided to make this mine as museum, I mean, as experience, where you can roll the card and to add only one source of light. It's the red LED, like something like guiding light, and then to highlight the important areas with this fungus like lightning. I mean, to bring white lightning on the places where some exhibitions are, or some interesting points there. And this is the part of the museum by itself. We used like this pentagon for shapes, because they're pretty, they give many possibilities to add to each other and to use as one module. And we wanted to recreate some kind of cliff, or some kind of structure which has the same appearance or same vibes that the cliff. So the cliff which is inside these tunnels, and which is the exhibition which creates the exhibition platforms as well. But our main thing here was this light. I mean, we built everything on the light and on this structure. Right now this project is on hold, as I mentioned, but again, it was like really great process creating it, because we were working only based on the concept here. We tried to push it as hard, I mean, to forget everything else. As I mentioned before, when I showed you this diagram about the jazz, like, you can say that it's a solo of the concept. Another project, when we took an approach to build a building which creates some benefits for the public as well, not just for owner. It should be a small hotel in center of the Tbilisi. On the plan, it's a R312 Avenue, one of the main avenues of Tbilisi, and it's a small cluster of the old town. And what's really interesting in Tbilisi and Old Town is that all of them are based on most of them are based on the courtyards, and but these courtyards are open, so you can walk through the city you could, like, because right now many of people just close them, but in the past you could walk on the streets, but you had always the possibility to walk through these courtyards. I mean, they were open for the public. The main form came solely from this land plot, because the plot was pretty small and you can't have windows. You can make the windows if you are too close to your neighbor's plot. So we decided to invert this building and to make something with which is repeats the principles of the old Tbilisian architecture. That's a courtyard for if you see here, the stairs you can't see unfortunately here, and the courtyard which is where you can walk through. I'll get back here once again, because this building here between the R312 Avenue and our building is Theater University, and we had negotiations with them. because they had a door which led to the land plot, and they agreed to open it for us. So this courtyard gave possibility to the peasants to go through this building, through this university part, and go right to the Rustaveli Avenue. So that's how we tried to repeat the structure we have here, functional structure. And the windows again is like in Georgia, in Tbilisi, you can see often this houses with this both arched and square windows, but we used more oriental windows. That was one of the ideas to make a facade which tells the story of old Tbilisi. Because Old Tbilisi, the architecture of Old Tbilisi is a mix of Oriental and European architecture to create this really cramped and teeny courtyard with these balcons here. Because as you see here, that's a picture of the Old Tbilisian courtyard. The balcons were open to each other, so there was not as much privacy there. But these places were always the places where people did communicate, and they still are. So yes, I can see, yes. And that's the first floor and that was this courtyard, and here there should be the entrance to the theater museum, but theater university, I'm sorry. This project is currently under arrest. I mean, the customer and this land plot can't be used right now, and it's on hold as well. And our next project is we made this project. It's a competition project. We made it together with Nicholas. He was working with us together on last year's as well. And what I really do like in architecture, that there are many studios here in Tbilisi, and we have no problem to team up for different projects. I mean, and we have like really good community in this. So we won this competition. Technically we won this competition, but then afterwards the customer decided to go back to his old project. I mean, they had the project here for 10 years. They were not able to build, but anyways, it was a really good experience for us. And we again repeated in this project repeated our principes that architecture should not take away the public spaces from the people, but in contra, architecture must create public spaces. I mean, no matter what you build, we believe that we have to try to build the way so we can bring as much as possible public spaces with high quality. So instead of build vertically, we decided to build these horizontal buildings. And you see on the visualization here on the diagrams that these three living house blocks, they have not just green roofs, but these roofs are directly connected to the city. I mean, anybody can just go in without any need to, in contrast to the architecture when people are making like green roofs on the last floor, when the ordinary people just can't go up. And these three buildings we have here some small park, and it should be like a part of the park which exists on the over the structure and creates this view on the other bank of Tbilisi. Yeah. So here we have, if we had in the Smile Museum, whenever talking about this project, it's the main thing there was just to create some conceptual atmosphere and to think about how people feel there and feel there. In this case, our main goal was our belief that we have to create for the people, not just for our customer. Yes, it's how it had to look like. Okay, that's competition as well, and we made it together with Nicolas and our other friends. We have teamed up 3 studios for this. Unfortunately, this competition was closed. They decided to repeat it, so right now we are developing an upgrade for this project. But what was here, in this case, we have gone through functionality. We decided that the function should decide the form of architecture. The brief was it's on a university campus, and they wanted to extend it. So we had to build 2 blocks. One of them had to be block for lecture rooms, so for students and lectures, and second space it should be for administration. And what was interesting here was the place by itself, because you have these 2 buildings, all these historical buildings, which create this way through here. And this one, what you can see on the visualization, as a base for these 2 buildings. So we decided that this axis is really important for us. We don't want to interrupt it. So we put 2 buildings with the space in between. So when you walk through here, you can see on the visualization here, you have this uninterrupted view. I think here is, and then we started to work on the form, and we needed to have 5 large auditoriums for students, and we decided, so that, as I mentioned before, that the function should define the form. So as you see here, this large lesson rooms form this architecture for us, and as you as and not only architecture, but what's really important in Tbilisi, it's a shadow, because in Tbilisi it's a pretty hot summer, and shadow to have the places under shadow, they are really important. So we believe that this place could become a place for gatherings under shadow, it provides cover from the rain, and we use this historical part of the building as the cafeteria, mediatek, and stuff. I mean, where all the students have to transit. Sorry, the next page is pretty heavy. I had the issue with it for first time, but it's only one. I wasn't able to remove it, but maybe it will be better if I restart the preview. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see it.
Right now it looks a little bit weird because there are 2 pages on each other, but it will resolve.
Maybe it will disappear. Think just a minute to wait.
Maybe. Unfortunately, I tested it on the notebook right before the lecture, and I had no time to. But I will wait. I will just.
Okay, it's moving something.
Uh, I will just remove. I'll just turn it off, and again, it helps. It
Okay.
will help. Yes. Right. Yes. I'll just try to. Okay. Should I share the screen again? Yes. Uh-huh.
Am I okay? Sorry. Is it possible? Yes, we can see.
So you can see the building here, and another thing, as I mentioned, this the way through and this space between these two buildings, we some kind of repeated it with this one of our buildings here. And again, we wanted to use our building not solely for this function side, but to be a place of gathering, place of interest for the we created this large stair. Stairs always attract people because you can sit there and it always forms an interesting public space. And of course, the roofs when you can go up. It's one of our current projects. We made it like really in short term, so visualizations are not as good. But again in this project we made for this project our main goal was again to create as much as public spaces as possible. And what's the story about this building is that on this corner there's a 4-story brick building which does not represent historical heritage, but again we wanted to respect that there was this building from the brick. And the people who live there, we talked with them, and those are people who love the courtyards. As I mentioned before, these courtyards are really important social places for Tbilisi. I mean, those are the places uh, where the people are gathering, and there are always people who are always there. I mean, you go out in the morning, going to for work, they're there. You're coming back, they're standing there. So we wonder sometimes how can they just leave? But they're always on the courtyard, and they just love these places. So, and they wanted this courtyard to be included. So we pushed this idea of courtyard as far as possible, and we have divided this building in two parts. First off, what you see it's in the pigmented concrete. It's how do you call it? It's commercial spaces, and upwards you have the residentials. But in the residential space, when we're doing this upper part, we thought that okay, I mean, what's the point of having courtyard if you're living on the 23rd story? I mean, you have to like take elevator, prepare yourself, take elevator, go down and wait for elevator, and it's a long journey. So why don't we bring these courtyards up? So what you see on this diagram here, we made the system of courtyards on the facade. So we made it so the way that if you go on one courtyard, you can stop it. Yeah, you can just travel through, not courtyard. I mean, it's a terrace. You can travel through the building, and they're all intertwined. You can go on other side, there are and then come back. So it gives the possibility to go outside without traveling to the first floor and then back. You can let your children play there without being worried that they are too far away from you and you have to overwatch them. And of course, we maintained this courtyard for this building, but we and this but these yards, these vertical gardens as we call them, those are not public spaces. These are generally for the people who live here, but not to leave the public without, because again this I forgot to mention that it's a pretty problematic place. It's a near largest bazaar in Tbilisi, and it's all the public areas, all the parks there are in really bad shape. I mean, there are people selling something. There is always too much dust, and some drunk people sleeping there, so you can't use it. So we wanted to use this first part, I mean, our part as a public, no, not only as commercial, but as public space. So everything what you see here on this, just, I think I have, it will come back. Everything what you see here, where it's open, it's publicly accessible. There are the terraces all here, all in all through all this building. You can go through, you can go up. I mean, we already was to bring, I don't that there will be like cafes, restaurants, shops, offices, and they are all connected with these open spaces. And I have again problems with the preview. Sorry, it shouldn't happen, but I have to restart it again. I'm really sorry for that.
Okay, we will wait. Everything.
No, it's I think we're good. Yes, no. And, and again. Okay. Сезон. Yes. Here we are. So we got the building like this, which public. You can see the holes here, and these holes are coming on the other side of the facade. You can then go up and go through it and back, so you can travel almost almost through all the facade, like on the vertical garden. And underneath you have this terracotta concrete, which is I think here, can you see it, as oops, which creates public spaces as well here. Yes, again, those are the courtyard, and for the facade, we used just steel sheets. We so that we don't want to make like glass facade or facade with like small windows. We made like totally open facade and used this horizontal shades, which gives you pretty good perspective, because from the far, if you look at the building from the far, it looks pretty almost transparent. But if you come near, as near you come, it will become more translucent, and afterwards it becomes like just a white box when you look at it from below, because and that's why, and the possibility to open them. So we wanted this facade to stay as dynamic as possible. So how the facade looks like and how transparent it is, it depends on each individual who lives here, who has them open, who has them closed, and depends on from what perspective you're looking at it. That's one of our hardest projects we ever did. I mean, it consists of two parts, of the two stages. First stage is not as exciting for us. It was more like technical work to restore this building as a hotel. And the story is that we worked on it for 7 years. because because the customer didn't know what he wants. So first, when they call us, they wanted to divide this old apartments to change the plans and make like high quality apartments for rent. And when we almost finished them, I mean, the walls were already there, and they were already painted and stuff. And then they decided, no, we want a hotel. So we had to remove everything and start from the scratch. And when we asked like what kind of hotel do you need, or maybe you have someone who will operate this hotel, because we need a brief. We can't do, you don't want a hotel which is planned by architects. I mean, because we have lots of fantasy, but we don't understand this business. But they told us, just do how you think would it be right. So we did it, and again, the walls were almost finished. We were already painting them, and they brought someone who had to operate this hotel. We had this meeting, and we decided to remove it everything again and start over. And the bad thing was that they spent so much money on this reduce that they had almost no money for the design. So we had to improvise. That's on the right. You can see this before and afters. And if you see the rooms, you see that we didn't make anything. We only thing we made was the paints, and to try to bring this furniture. But with the paints we used from the pictures we got from the before we started in the apartments, like this green. We used this green, this blue, etc. And we made our whole accent on this place here, the reception. And I think the main thing is this. I mean, this picture on the right, it shows only arc we managed to maintain. I mean, there were several arcs here, and we really wanted to maintain them, but because they were already over the budget, they didn't wanted to do this. And this arc was the main driving force for us for the next step, because they opened this hotel and the COVID started. And when COVID started, it was like half year or 7 months after the opening of this project that they came to us and told us, okay, it's a COVID, we have to close the hotel, we have time, we have some money, and we want to add a floor, build a floor on this building. We already have like the project. I was pretty furious that somebody else did this project, but those were the people who had some connections in city hall, so they made it much faster than we would. And this arc, I mean, we wanted these arcs we wanted to have. We used it, as you see here. It's a new part of the building, and on the new store, on the upper store, we used all the arcs we could. I mean, we were so happy that at last we can revenge those arcs that stayed there without any attention. So this was the main part of this hotel. I mean, we didn't have any design or any concept what we are doing upwards. When we did this, we named this portal, because the main goal of the stair was to tell people who are in the older part of the building that they will transit to some place which is completely new, which is completely different and tells another story. So this stair was our main element here. And the roofing, it was like just for the story, pretty interesting stuff. We wanted to use the water repellent stainless steel, which was too expensive, and they told us to make this material by ourselves. So fortunately, I have a friend who's a sculptor, works on the metal, and we spent like say 6 months to find out how can we do this. There was like lots of probes, and we made lots of different materials, and it was like it was really fun. Okay, it was fun for us, not for customer, because he was waiting and he wanted to finish this building, but he couldn't. But in the end, we did it. And as I mentioned, we used all the arcs. I mean, another goal was to make the hotel rooms without the walls inside. I mean, not to divide them with the walls, but to divide everything with the utility furniture. So in this room, you come here when we come here, you have on the right, you have the ward, on the left, you have the toilet and the shower. You have the window on the shower, so you can have like the view through the window and the direct sunlight. But after the opening, they put some translucent things on it, because they told us people they're not only singles, or they're like families. They're families with the children, and they are not happy. But what I like here, that everything is custom made, only this except this chair. I mean, the sink, the beds, everything we made the custom for them. And that's a second typology of the room, because we had to make two typologies, because the structure of the building was so that we had two different rhymes of the between the columns, so we had to adapt. And the second room is like more long, and we put here the glass wall, and again with this open toilet with the translucent membrane afterwards here, and the restaurant here. And again, so that was really well, yeah. And the main theme here was the memory of the arcs on a historical building we couldn't use, unfortunately, and which were lost. I won't stop for long before on this project. It's in Austria. There was like old brick barn. You can see here the diagrams, and the goal was to rebuild it as a living house. So we just completely removed everything from inside, brought like new roof on it, and made like his twin from concrete house. Only I think like think what is important in this project, that we are using the houses, and we are doing it a lot. We are using houses as part of the not a fence. I mean, how do you call it? To you use the houses to close the private, semi-private, and open areas. Yes, we had to add some walls here as well, but generally you come here, there's a parking area, then you go here, that's a connection which leads to the lake here under. You have the day zone and you have the night zone here divided. And yeah, so and oops, yeah, it's how it looks, how it should like when it will be finished. And of course we left the window, made like large openings on the street side, on the public areas, but used here the polycarbonate to make like translucent openings, and to use these windows as part of the lighting for the area outside the building. This is maybe one of our most important projects for us. It's the first realized project in Tbilisi we made, and I put it here because all the projects I showed with you already, maybe you already understood that we really love houses which are bridges. I mean, we really believe that when you build something, architecture should have many different functions inside. I mean, when you build a house, it can be like house and vertical garden, or house which is a bridge, etc. And it's a small living house. It was a slope, and we used the slope to bring this house upwards, so it stands here like a bridge. And on the other side, you have and on the other side, it's just a two-story building. I mean, I have again nothing much to say about this, except that how we are using the concepts and ideas we had while we were studying, that we were studying in university, that we still use them. I mean, we found out like several things which are really important for us, and we're using it again and again and trying to evolve them. And it's house T. That I brought this project because it has interesting process as well. The customer wanted house which pitched roof. I mean, it had to be a pitched roof. It was must have in some British style, etc. So he didn't wanted something like much contemporary, but we solved it for him this way, that the form of the house, if you see on the plans, it's formed solely from the topography, from the sun movement, and from the view. Like, we try to make a house which is everything to have like right sunlight, to have the view on the right direction, and the entrance, and make like long entrance between this fence and this house. So that's why we made this T-shape. And as I mentioned before, the shadows are really important in Tbilisi. I mean, and that was actually one of the things I made wrong when I started to work in Tbilisi, because I studied in Germany, and in Germany you need sun. I mean, you need to build so you have as much sun as possible. But yeah, so it took a time for me to understand that in Georgia it's a bit different. So, and of course we gave him this pitched roof he wanted, just this one. It was like small present from us, but gladly this building is under construction process right now. It's almost finished, and that's one of my five.
Excuse me, I have to say that 1 minute left when it will cut, and we should go
And
again.
I told you that I already almost finished, so I won't take much of the time.
Anyway, we want to have a questions.
Yeah,
So,
sure. We have to come back only once again. I think I made.
Okay. So we can go out, go in again on this link, okay? Будь ласка, прохання всім присутнім перейти ще раз за цим посиланням, бо зараз наша зустріч автоматично закриється, бо хвилина лише залишилася. Так, до зустрічі в цьому ж посиланні.
Так, выйти и зайти, да, просто?
Так, да, конечно, да. Сейчас, да. Я думаю, что нужно выйти и зайти.
Okay. And again, I need to share screen.
Yes. Okay, sorry. It was again forbidden. Sorry. Is it okay? No.
Yes, right.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah, oops. The screen is on, yes?
Yes, you can see your project. Yeah, go on, thank you.
That's a project. It's finished already. We don't have any professional photos of it, but what's the main thing of this project is the chemistry we had with the customer. Like we became like really good friends after that. It's not far away from my daughter's kindergarten, so each time I bring her, not each time, but often I bring her to the kindergarten, I go to them, to the guests, we drink coffee, talk, but how we made this form, I mean, the thing was that the customer, they had really small budget, and we had to try really hard to give them something which represents their personalities in the small budget, because when we are working on the private houses, it's a totally different approach for us. I mean, we spend lots of time to know the customer as close as possible, and if customers open for that, when we spend lots of time to understand each other as good as possible. And then let's say we try to do something with a house which is like, or something like the portrait of this owner. So there were different things which why this house evolved that way. But main thing is this facade here, and our customer, the man and wife, and the wife, she was the most active in this pair. She comes from the western Georgia, where the architecture looks some kind like this, these arcs and these decorations here. The name's Oda House, but she spends lots of time in Middle East. And if you see it, you have the picture of the old Tbilisi here, these balcons, this Ivniani Sahlit, this balcon house. It's really typical for Tbilisi. So we decided to let's try to put these three things, like this Western house, Tbilisi, and some Oriental details, and make some contemporary version of it. And it's how we made this facade. And we needed to do it because it's this facade looks on the south, so you have really more than you need sun there. So we needed some kind of shades here. And second thing was that the building is on the slope. Oh, and I forgot to mention that we had no possibility to build something only this rectangle, because there was an agreement between the neighbors, and they had, each of them had similar spot on the ground where we had to build. So we used the slope, and both of them are freelancers, are working from house. So that gave us ideas that we need to create as much different spots in interior where they can work from. So not only the tables, but we divided the house if you can see it on the sections, on the different levels here. So you always have the level up, level down, where you can see it, use it this level of, and of course we use it this ground, not no, this house here. We removed the slope here, and we made the terraces as a backyard. One terrace is for like master bedrooms, master bathroom. One is here as a part of the living room, and third it's just the windows in the kitchen. But we wanted to have this view, so you can view through the building. You can see this terrace here, and why we wanted this terraces again. We wanted to create different spots, as I mentioned, so they got like really comfy spaces in the backyard when they can work or just drink coffee or whatever, protected from the rain and in the direct sunlight. But the main thing of this building is this red stone we wanted to use, and it has pretty funny story. As I mentioned, the wife, she was really active and she talks really a lot, and it was not always easy to listen to her because she was really overwhelming. And once we were already on the final stages of the project, and I had a 2-hour phone call with her. And when we finished, I just put down the phone and just talked to my colleague that, oh my God, like she's a diva, if it's right in English. Yes. We need to make a red carpet for her. So each time she comes home, she should walk on this way on this red carpet. And right away when we laughed about it, I just couldn't resist. I called her back and told her that, okay, listen, you talk much, you're really emotional, so you behave like a diva. So we decided to make this red carpet entrance for you. And actually, she was really happy, and we did it. And I hope I will have the pictures of this house so as soon as possible. And to have a rest from architecture, we are doing not only architecture, we are involved in art project as well. That was largest art project we participated. It was a group of 11 artists, each in different, working on different medium. The call of this installation was Sizmari. Sizmari translates as dream. And it began that a friend of mine, we worked together on this first project I showed you, if you remember this cage stage. She made she made the installation under that name, and she wanted to do a second stage of it. And she came to me, and we had a small discussion. She told that she wants to have labyrinth, a maze in form of the human brain. And in this maze, we should plant different art, the art installations. And I disagreed right away because I really do hate when people are when in architecture people are just repeating the forms you can see like only from above. And it would be if I agreed to make like a maze in form of the brain. Instead, we had a brainstorming, and we decided to just understand what is a dream. And of course, the dream, it happens in our head. And what's our brain? And our brain consists of these synapses and the connections between them, where the electrical impulses are traveling, and what is basically how our brain works. So that was our proposal, and we did it to make this maze, which consists of the neurons and synapses, and to make it so that the people who are entering there are not just a part of exhibition, but these people who come here to see this installation, they should become part of it. So we made it this way that in each of these large tents there is one of the art pieces, and everything is interactive. So when the people traverse through these neurons, first off, you can see them because of the light, how they traverse. And when they enter the tent, I mean, it's how it looks from inside. And those are these 3 installations. And when they enter, the installations react, and tents start to glow or produce sound. I mean, this one was 3 balls with sensors. They could read your heartbeat, and if the only one of the balls were hold, it produced some kind of sound and animation. If two, it just expanded, and when all of 3, there should be the third one, all of 3 people touched him, it became like really glowing and loud and stuff. And same was with the cube. You could just push it and it started to vibrate. It was like smoke inside, light from under, and you could see yourself inside the cube. I mean, not on this mirror, but inside, and it produces the sound and vibration as well. So when the people go in and out, you can always see how these neurons are like working and how this electro impulse, which are people are moving through them. Okay, and let's to next project. It's a short one. This project is really important for us because it's a modern Georgian church, and in Georgia it's really problematic because our religion our religion is really conservative, but we managed to find some way around. It should be a church and the museum for, I don't know, how do you call the pieces of the saints which are collected, which stay like, I don't know this word, I'm sorry. So museum and church, and we made this cube. We wanted to have this cube which looks at the night like a wall with the candles inside, this light. And basically it's the upper part, you have this cube, but inside the cube we made the interior, let's say so, which is classical Georgian, which can be a classical Georgian church. So that was the way to get the approval from the Georgian Patriarchate that it could be built, because from inside it's an ordinary church, from outside it's just this cube floating on the water, and it's on the water. At the entrance to enter there, you have to like go down under the water and go in then. And here in the main space you have this ramp which leads you underneath, and here you have like 12 rooms. We divided the saints on these according to their zodiac signs, which was pretty exciting for me as well, because I thought that zodiac and Orthodox Christianity, they don't like each other, but it turned out that they did. So there should be the 12 rooms with the light from above through the water, where all these parts should be stored and exhibited. Right now we are waiting for the funding, because this project should be crowdfunded, and as soon the money is there, we can proceed with that. And it's a last project. I will show it to you. It's a competition again. And in this project, basically, we try to work not just on the concept of the building, but we really try to make a structure which tells the story of all of our philosophy as well. I mean, so it was the brief was to be there on this cliff here. There were old remains of old building. You can see this on this photo montage. There was some military building which was demolished by the time, and they wanted to have, it's a Portugal again, they wanted to have here something like info point. I mean, a place where you can go in, read some info, have a good overview. So we just and the first picture which was on the cover of our lecture is like this picture evolved then to this visualization. So what we wanted to do, basically, this name of this project is process. So instead of just make some building, which is building, we try to make like a structure which tells first of the same story, the story of this building and story of everything of the surrounding. I mean, what do you see? You see the cliffs, and these cliffs are eroding through the time because of the water and the wind, etc. These old walls are already in the shape that you barely can tell that they're human made. They're, because time after time they're becoming more part of the nature. So we made a cube here, and then we started to demolish it. We use this hexagon again because it gives good possibilities to create like spaces like this. So, and we divided in the two, let's say in the two main spaces. First space is, let's say, on the first level when you go through, and we made like this way when you can just when you can't see the final destination. It's a final destination, but you see this. To see this, you have to go through this maze. It's not just maze, but go through and you have this new structure which builds a frame for this old structure, nature and sea. The position is so that the wind should be really strong here, crosswinds. And time after time, this structure should change the color because the salty water and the wind, etc., and become more and more part of the nature. And afterwards, let's say you're going to this observation place when you can see it. You have this console, this roof, and everything like goes in the perspective to the infinity, like this. Again, the sea, this existing structure, nature, and this new one. And we wanted to create some kind of image of unity of everything. This. And the second one is, I don't know if you can see this. I mean, you can walk here up, not go through, but walk up. I'll try to sit on here. And here we try to make this to represent our vision of our architecture and our philosophy. That is to create something, to create some project and then leave it alone. And after some time, like 2 years, 3 years, basically, to look back on it and just to try to rethink it, to understand it again, and then go. So when you go here up, you have always places when you have to turn up and look back, like one of this here, then you go up here and have to look back, and then go up here, and you have always this I will show you the spaces like this, like you can see here and here, when you can see the way you have came to this place. And only after you can go to this upper platform, and there's a same perspective that this platform, it should represent the way to the infinity, in the means that there is no end to this process. I mean, only end of the process of evolving is if you just stop doing it. And no matter how hard and how long you're working on the project, I mean, you can evolve and without end. So no, you have to, of course, you have to stop at some point and finish it. But I still believe that it's really important to look back on your project as often as possible. I can just as last word say that when I was adding the first projects, the handmade projects, I can just remember how I experienced them. When I just made them, I was really proud. I was thinking that this greatest projects I ever made. Then after some time, I was really ashamed of this project because I understood how wrong my approach was. And after years, I can again love them because I see some naivety there, but I can see even some lessons, some lessons I can use now. Because back then I was much more, how can I say that? I was much more free. Yes, I was much more free using like different forms without thinking of what will be the consequences in the understanding of the functionality or concept, etc. So right now we are again trying to bring everything back. And again, I'm always finishing. I think I made it clear. I really do hope how important the jazz music was for me, because when I talk to you about this main theme and improvisation, so we try in this project instead, if you remove like instead the piano and drums and bass, if you say that one of your instrument is concept, the second your instrument is the functionality, and the third instrument is the geometry, like visual geometry, the things what you really do like, and you mix them, but you mix them not forever, but on each project you can give one of them possibility to be the main driving force of the project. So that's basically all. So blank paper. So that's all from me, and thank you again. And I would be glad to answer the questions if you have some.
Thank you very much. And we are waiting for the questions. It was very interesting to look inside the process that you share with us. It was wonderful. A lot of thanks. And ми чекаємо зараз місце для питань. Будь ласка, студенти, викладачі, якщо мають питання, будь ласка, задавайте. В нас також має бути присутня дівчина, яка буде перекладати питання, або якщо вона присутня, або ні, мала б.
Так, добрий вечір, я тут, я з вами.
Так, добре, дякую. І тоді, будь ласка, якщо є питання, можемо перекласти для нашого лектора. Будь ласка, питання. Так, чи то всі втомилися наприкінці дня? Будь ласка. Так. Якщо поки що...
Давайте я.
Будь ласка, так. Так.
Так, ну пробачте, я буду без камери, бо в мене щось ще не працює. Ну, я так от, в мене таке може дивне питання. Ну, по-перше, хочу подякувати. Ну, надзвичайний був досвід. Дуже така повна презентація, і мене здивувало, як багато вже всього напрацьовано, як багато тем, як багато різної типології, конкурсної праці, і це дивовижно і дуже цікаво.
Подождіть, Ірина Віталіївна, будь ласка, дайте нашому перекладачу.
I can understand everything, so maybe
Okay.
you don't need it, because I just can't talk on Ukrainian, but if there will be something I can understand, I will ask you on the help. Maybe that will be better.
Окей, thank you. Окей. Тому продовжуйте.
Я
Наш
не все
викладач, вибачте, я перекладу тоді для Ірини Віталіївни, що Георгій розуміє українську, він не може лише спілкуватися, тому він вас повністю розуміє. Ви можете продовжувати.
Дуже добре. Я не дуже розуміла теж всі коментарі на англійській мові, але для архітектора головне це візуальне і головне це креслення. Тому мені було, як мені здається, все зрозуміло. І що мене більш всього занепокоїло, що мені здається, що багато всього, що було сьогодні показано, воно не було реалізовано. І на це, мабуть, є якісь причини об'єктивні. Я думаю, що в Грузії, також як і в Україні, є певні труднощі для реалізації саме таких концептуальних, дуже цікавих і творчих проєктів. То які саме трудності, як здається, Георгію, він виділяє? Чому так багато не вдається реалізувати, а тільки запроєктувати? І друге питання. Який з ваших проєктів вам найбільш, ті, які не були реалізовані, для вас саме такий цікавий, якщо б у вас була б змога вибрати лише один з тих, що не вдалося, який би ви хотіли реалізувати, щоб подивитися, як попрацювати з матеріалами, як воно вийде? Ваш фаворит.
Okay, I will start with the second question then. My favorite project is
З другого питання відповідь починають.
Да, я таке.
this one. I don't know why, maybe because it reminds me how I was still a student, but I really do love this place. I see this place every day, and right now they want to build 275 story high risers here. So yes, that's my favorite project. And why there are many unrealized projects? I mean, first off, I choose to show most of unrealized projects because and the competitions because those are the projects when you can really show up yourself what you are. I mean, what you are, and not what your customer wants from you.
Okay.
But second was
Please
it was
make a little bit stop because our translator should translate to Irina, to everyone maybe. Okay? Якщо присутня наша перекладачка, або я можу допомогти.
Давай, там
Я
цілком зрозуміло, на деякі деталі.
Коротко перекласти, що для Георгія цей проєкт важливий, бо він нагадує йому саме студентські роки, і саме процес створення – це дуже для нього такий проєкт важливий. І ще одна така річ, що тут на цьому місці мають звести дві великі вежі 70-поверхові. Це йому країть серце і дуже болить. За це місце, тому що він там бував дуже часто і ходив завжди, а зараз там буде щось зовсім інше, з яким він не погоджується.
Це те, що нас завжди мотивує дуже і що нас вражає, ось коли щось коїться не так, як треба. Я розумію. Тоді мій коментар ще останнє, а мій фаворит – це останній проєкт. Мені дуже цікаво було б там посмотрети, як моя особистість реагує на це формостворення, таке дивне, філософське і дуже експресивне. Вражаючий проєкт останній.
And about the first question is that it was generally my mistake that when I came back to Georgia, it was the time where the political changes were happening. And I was pretty loud with my political beliefs on the social media.
Can I just okay for the parts, okay? Георгій каже, що починає відповідати вже на перше ваше питання.
Я зрозуміла.
Він каже, що при поверненні з навчання з Німеччини до Грузії, можливо, то було його помилкою. То були такі часи політичних змін, так? І то було, можливо, його помилкою свої думки дуже голосно озвучувати.
Мгм.
Час назад таке в нього враження. You can continue?
Yeah, basically that's it. I mean, and yes, second one is that Georgia is not a stable state right now again, and in point of view of architecture, lots of companies prefer to hire like young architects, like right from the school on the payment, and just build as fast as possible without any view on the quality, like developer business.
Тут я, можливо, трішки помилюся з перекладом. Не всі слова для мене були зрозумілі, але спробую. Або, можливо, допоможемо ми.
Можливо, так, я вам допоможу.
Будь ласка, якщо
Якщо я правильно зрозуміла, то зараз якби всі бюро намагаються найняти молодих спеціалістів, тобто і зробити проєкт як можна швидше, не зважаючи на якість, а приділяючи більше увагу часу, щоб це було якнайшвидше.
Мгм.
It
І
was
економіка.
not. It was not about young ones. I mean, I have total respect to youngs, but unexperienced, maybe that would be better word.
без досвіду, без досвіду.
Мгм. Зрозуміло, в нас
Так,
теж є.
вибачте.
Угу. Зрозуміло. Дякую. Ще раз, дуже цікаво було.
Так, будь ласка, в кого ще є питання до нашого лекції?
В мене є питання, якщо можна, я трошки прокоментую. Мені дуже сподобалась ця лекція, бо тут я бачу багато різних таких підходів до розвитку сучасної архітектури як такої. І в мене питання до Георгія, чи він погодиться з тим, що він шукає нову сучасну мову для грузинської архітектури. Бо я бачу, що він використовує традиційну архітектуру як таке тло, на якому він шукає елементи, знакові елементи і просторові структури, які притаманні грузинській архітектурі, і хоче ці риси перенести в сучасність. Якби не бути таким архіваріусом, не просто перелічувати традиційні якісь засоби, а осучаснити їх і розробити сучасну мову грузинської архітектури. Чи погодитесь ви з моїм таким вироком, скажімо так?
Do you need a translation?
I understood almost everything except what was the question about. I mean, I understood about architecture, translation of architecture, everything. Just the where the
Is it right or not that we
Мені здається, що ви шукаєте нову мову для сучасної грузинської архітектури. Якщо так, то я з вами згодна.
Well, I have to thank for that my professor, the professor who was working with me on this project. It's Enrique Sobejano. If you know Nieto Sobejano, that they are really great in the working with the historical heritage and understanding what historical architecture means and how can you translate it in the contemporary one. So yes, I never thought about that. I have a goal to make like new to develop a new style of the Georgian architecture. Maybe unconsciously I was doing that, but it happens mostly because of on how we approach to each project. I mean, we always try to have respect of the surroundings, and yes, and that's why our projects maybe look like our projects have this influence of this surroundings again.
Мгм.
Ви-
Так, це дуже цікаво, бо мені так ну, прийшло на думку, що вас можна порівняти, ваш метод праці можна порівняти з працями Альдо Россі, який теж намагався ну, реконструювати якісь елементи італійської пам'яті, да, і реалізувати їх в своїх сучасних проєктах.
Well, thank you first of all, because I really do love Aldo Rossi, and to hear something like this, it's a really pleasure for me.
Yes, I do.
Чи потрібен переклад аудиторії? Будь ласка, можливо, хтось допоможіть перекладом, або
Ні, навіть Ірина Віталіївна зрозуміла.
так, що. Добре, у нас, до речі, залишилося 3 хвилини. 3 minutes left for this last part. Maybe someone else wants to add a question. Можливо, у когось також є...
Можна я,
Так,
якщо ніхто не хоче? Краще англійською чи українською? Ну, я готовий так.
будь ласка, на ваш вибір.
Англійська, щоб коротше, щоб скоріше.
Добре. Thank you very much for your interesting lecture. I really admire for your the residential building project where you used element of traditional Georgian architecture. It seems to me that this is kind of experience that we should apply in something some project to attract people to be interested in the culture of their people of their country. I have such a rather banal question. You said that jazz is very important to you. I also admire him, but tell me, maybe something else inspired you. For example, you showed incredible project of hotel, the interior of which resembled the hotel from the film The Shining by Stanley Kubrick. Tell me, have you ever been impressed by a film and other form of art for a project?
Sure, I was. About the hotel, I never thought about it, to be honest, but I even have a course for my students when they have to watch, we watch some movies, what they choose, and then each of them has to recreate a architectural model of interior, which is not directly interior, but build some interior which has same message as the film, or same vibes as the film, without copying the forms or colors. So yes, of course, I mean, I think the movies are greatest medium ever, and it happens a lot with me, but not with particularly this project. Maybe again subconsciously, because Shining is one of my favorite movies in the books, so it could be.
Так. Остання хвилина в нас вже збігає. Якщо хочемо, можемо перейти або відпустити нашого лектора. Дуже нам сподобалося все. Дуже дякуємо. Мені здається, що вже треба відпочивати.
Оплески.
Дякуємо дуже.
Дякуємо. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to look inside your architecture and inside the project. It was a pleasure.